Well, another threat to security at this nation's ports, the threat from communist China. The Port of Los Angeles is now testing, you're going to love this, they're testing an X-ray cargo scanner made by a Chinese company that has some familial ties to the head of the Communist Party and Communist government in China. The purchase, made even though an American company just down the road from the port, makes exactly the same type of equipment. But this is, after all, America 2008. Casey Wyan has our report.
China is the Port of Los Angeles' largest customer. $112 billion worth of Chinese cargo passed through here last year alone, more than every other nation combined. The port handles 8.5 million cargo containers a year. The security risk is undeniable. Now the port is testing a new mobile X-ray scanning system similar to this one, purchased with U.S. taxpayer money last year from a Chinese company called NUCTEC. NUCTEC's president is Hu Haifeng, the son of Hu Jintao, president of the People's Republic of China. Congressman Dana Rohrabacher's district includes the Port of Los Angeles.
You can't depend on the communist Chinese to provide America the emergency equipment we need for our own defense.
NUCTEC submitted its bid through Dooley Research, a small American company headquartered in this wealthy residential neighborhood overlooking the port. The nearly $1.9 million bid was almost $1 million lower than two competing proposals, one from a British company with manufacturing facilities in the United States, and one from Rapiscan, an American company headquartered just minutes from the port. Rapiscan alleges NUCTEC offered the X-ray scanner to the Port of L.A. at an unusually low price to secure its first contract in the United States.
I can tell you this was way out of that ballpark in terms of what we would normally see from them, and it's just very puzzling, very suspicious to us that they were able to come in with a bid so significantly lower than what they have done in the past and what they did relative to other competitors.
Dooley Research did not respond to repeated requests for comment about its deal with NUCTEC. We couldn't reach NUCTEC's Hu Haifeng either. The Department of Homeland Security did not object to the port's decision to buy a scanner from NUCTEC, even though 90% of the money came from a federal port security grant. In August, Congressional Homeland Security Committee Chairman Benny Thompson complained in a letter to DHS Secretary Michael Chertoff about recent waivers of Buy America requirements, saying, "I am troubled that a department charged with assuring the safety and security of America's ports would act in a way that may bring about potential security vulnerabilities."
This contract should be declared null and void, and we should then have the federal government do its job and set the standards so that the Port of Los Angeles or any other port will know exactly what kind of equipment they're permitted to use from a potential enemy of the United States.
The Port of Los Angeles would not agree to an interview for this report. It released a statement that misspelled NUCTEC's name as NUTEC. The port claims the X-ray scanner will be used, quote, in scanning shoreside provisions and supplies for cruise ships at the port. However, the port's contract approval document says the X-ray scanner is being purchased so it can also be used to support other security operations throughout the port. It may even be loaned to the city of Los Angeles for citywide security needs. A Department of Homeland Security spokesman blames Congress for passing the law that allows port security grants to be used to buy foreign-made equipment. He also says the Chinese-made X-ray scanner is still being tested here at the Port of Los Angeles and will not be used unless it passes all DHS security requirements. Lou.
Well, the Department of Homeland Security and the administrator of the Port of Los Angeles, they ought to be, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. They continually demonstrate their incompetence and their indifference to the national interest. I don't even understand why they don't just pack their bags, go home, move out of the job, unless it's, of course, the only job they could get. What is going on?
The only requirement the Port of Los Angeles said it looked at, or the main requirement I should say, said it looked at in this case was the fact that the Chinese-made scanner was about $1 million cheaper than the other two bids it received. It hasn't even completed testing to make sure that it meets all the requirements it's going to need to meet to actually operate the thing. So there's a lot of questions here. Unfortunately, they're not answering those questions right now, Lou.
Well, and because of the way the port is set up there, it doesn't have to answer to anyone except perhaps the Department of Homeland Security, which is at best indifferent to national security and port security for the past 7 years. Thank you very much, Casey. Casey Ryan, a troubling report from the Port of Los Angeles.